Hey friends, Sean Fairchild here with you once again for Bass Gear Magazine. Man, it's been a minute. I'm glad to be back with you. Now, about a year ago, we took a look at the Fender Tone Master Pro, this very handsome looking processor sitting off to my left and your right. It's a great platform, has a lot going for it, but at the time, it didn't have much in the way for us bass players. A lot has changed in a year. Updates have brought a lot of bass-specific goodies. So today we're doing a second look at the Tone Master Pro. Join me as I walk you through some of my favorite sounds. Here we go. Okay, let me say right up front, as I often do, that you want to make sure to go to bassgearmag.com to check out the written review of this review. There's information in the written review that's usually not captured in the final edited video version, and vice versa. So to get the full picture, make sure to go to bassgearmag.com and read that review. All right, well, let's get right into it. Not a lot has changed with the physical form of the Tone Master Pro. It's still largely the same physical product that it was a year ago. So since we went over a lot of that information in the previous video, and by the way, that video should be linked to this one, my only issue with the system at the time was its lack of bass-specific things or, sounds that a bass player might particularly appreciate. Before I go further down that path, there are no bass sounds or guitar sounds. There are just sounds that you might enjoy, that you might find a use for in one situation or another situation. And especially when you're in the digital realm, there's really no barrier to experimentation. I mean, try a big Marshall amp rig, a big guitar Marshall amp rig, with your bass on some song if you think that might capture something that you like. That said, there are a lot of bass-specific inclusions this time around in the Tone Master Pro. So if we take a look at the panel, we'll see I've got a few of these loaded up here in this preset that I made. I'm not going to go through different presets this time. I'm just going to take you through some of my favorite modular effects and amp models. So I've got a 7-band bass EQ. In fact, if I double tap this, you can see how I have it set. So the user interface, the GUI doesn't change in the main preset view for how you have the sliders, but when you go into it, you can see how the sliders are affected, and you can grab these and drag them around. It's a little hard to do when I'm kind of at this angle, but you can drag them and move them around, and these foot switches, this is so cool. These foot switches are also knobs. They're potentiometers, or actually, I guess it'd be more proper to call them encoders. So these foot switches actually twist and turn. So let me do one here. There you go. See that little slider moving? That's so cool. So you can get really fine with your adjustments. I've got the Polygon, which is basically a POG 2 clone. It's a polyphonic octave generator by Electro Harmonics. Moving on to the side of that, it's not active right now, so if I kick this on, you will see better. The Bass OD, very familiar looking, right? If I click that, bring it up, we all know what that is. Sounds great, as it always does. Let me go back, and I'll turn this guy back off. Then we have the Poly Voice. This I really enjoy. So both the Polygon and the Poly Voice have really good usable polyphonic octave up sounds. That's always a sound that I'm after, and it's kind of one of my benchmarks that I use to determine what processors I think are exceptionally good and which ones are kind of more mediocre. And these are very good. There's very little latency. You're going to see when I play these, but there's very little latency. Tracking is great. The polyphonic nature is great. I can play my low B and it tracks, so very happy with that. then we come to the Filtron, another very familiar looking pedal. Obviously a model of the Mutron. And it sounds great. It sounds like everything you expect it to. My one issue with it is that its sensitivity doesn't go low enough. This is not a very high output bass. I'm using Bartolini pickups here, and I have a passive mode if I need it, but they're running through a John East preamp. It's not a very hot output, and it's still, the sensitivity is still too high on the unit, so I really have to either roll back my volume or play very, very quietly. Okay, moving on here, we have the Redhead, the SWR Redhead amp. Of course, a favorite of so many bass players. And one of the cool things that, so I'm using these amp blocks that are like combo blocks. Even if it's not a combo amp, it can be treated as a combo in the platform, or you can separate all the heads from cabs, and you can mix and match cabs and mix and match amps, and you can also mic each speaker with up to 2 mics, the models of which can change and can be spaced at different distances from the speaker cone, and on axis, off axis, all that stuff. So you can really get a tremendous amount of tonal differentiation. Again, lots of possibilities here that human ears have never heard in the real world. And that's always such an exciting concept. And then all the way to the right, now we have the Fender Super Bassman. It's an all-tube head, perhaps Fender's answer to the SVT. I'm not sure which came first, actually. I've never actually run into one of these things in real life, but it's a 300-watt tube head, and it sounds pretty gritty and dirty and kind of awesome going through its own 810, which, as you can imagine, provides a lot of filtering of that output. There's a lot of mid-range, a lot of heft and low end, not as much high end due to the lack of a tweeter, as you might expect from that kind of rig. But a very cool sound and its own kind of signature thing. Now this is just a smattering of the effects of the inclusions that have been given to us this time that are more bass specific. Obviously, I don't have time to go through all of them. However, you can read, you can find out every single model that the Tone Master Pro has currently through a model guide that's available on the written review. I've linked it there. It may or may not be linked in the video here. But again, make sure you're going to bassgearmag.com to get the holistic view of any product review that you're watching as a video. But these are some of my favorite sounds, and the kind of ones that I tend to go to. As if you guys have watched some of my reviews before, you're probably aware I'm somewhat of a less traditional bass player, not like that's a secret or anything. And these are the sounds that I find really helpful. And the reason that I do is because distortion can act in a similar way as compression does, at least in terms of the final result, which is an evening of dynamics. It just evens them out on the high end instead of on the low end, bringing everything down and then using makeup gain. Obviously, aside from that, it offers a lot of additional sustain, which can be a fun tool. Octave up is a sound that I use a lot because I'm always looking for ways to kind of enlarge my presence when somebody else drops out for a solo or to do something else, or perhaps another instrument isn't playing yet. Perhaps I'm playing in a trio, as I very frequently do, with just bass guitar and drums or bass keyboard and drums, and it helps to be able to take up a little bit more sonic space. Well, octave up effects are really good for that. You may not really have tried them or used them frequently in your arsenal, but I strongly recommend using an octave up style effect. If you find that you need to take up some more sonic space, it's a very helpful and beneficial thing in a group-minded setting, and it just helps you be heard a little bit more, which is always kind of nice as well. So my conclusion a year ago was super cool product, not really for bass players unless you are a very adventurous bass player and liked to just audition different sounds and kind of get into the sonic artistry, the aural exploration, which I commend. I think that everybody should do that if you have the inclination and the time. But not a product that I could necessarily recommend for bass players. Well, that's changed. Now the Tone Master Pro is totally on the same footing as all of the other primary processors that are available right now on the market, such as the Quad Cortex, the new Helix product. All of these guys, they all have a lot of bass inclusions, and now the Tone Master Pro is every bit as much a contender in that arena as any of those other options. And aside from that, it's just got very cool, undeniable Fender charm. I mean, as far as product design goes, this thing exudes Fenderness, that sort of classic car meets electric guitar vibe. It's just dripping with that. So if you are a big Fender fan, if you like that style and the ethos, and you're maybe a little bit hesitant to get into processing or having something like this at your feet, perhaps this is a good avenue for you to kind of get your feet wet, no pun intended, and kind of get into that world of things without feeling too techy or out of place. I mean, the touchscreen is very responsive and makes editing very easy, and obviously the skeuomorphism of what's going on, everything looks like what you're used to seeing in real life, so a very usable trait. All right, guys, thank you once again for joining me. Once again, my name is Sean Fairchild for Bass Gear Magazine. It was wonderful being back with you. It's been several months since I've been in front of the camera doing this, and it feels nice to be back. I hope you enjoyed it as well. I hope you learned a little bit about the Fender Tone Master Pro, and make sure to go to bassgearmag.com. I know I've said it several times, but go to bassgearmag.com last time to read the written review to make sure you're getting the full picture here. I hope you join me next time. Take care. I'll see you then.